Hey guys, FirstinWeather here. This video will be a quick look at the pattern change that we're going to be seeing for the eastern United States and the potential for pretty significant rains in California and the western portion of the country. So if we start this video and we take this is the GFS model and we take this through, you can see that over California you have a low pressure system that's going to track right through the middle of the state. And that's going to bring some pretty good rain to the state of California, and they definitely do need that rain. And if we look at estimated preset totals, and we look at that, and we take this through until Friday, you can see that a lot of areas are predicted to see a good 1 to 3 inches of rain, and this really is a good sign or a good thing for California, because they currently are experiencing very dry conditions, and it definitely is a good relief for them in those terms. Well, if we go to the other part of the country, the eastern United States, and the big story for the first 7 days of the new year of 2018 has been this extreme cold. I mean, you're talking temperatures averaging 20 degrees below average over 7 days, because you just had this massive trough. You had this let me get this real quick. Let me see if I can get this to work. So you had this that's not what I want. You had this huge trough like this, and that was just pumping cold air in the eastern United States. And in fact, in Richmond, Virginia, actually, they had the coldest first 7 days of January in the history of the city since 1897, and that is just remarkable. It's just really quite crazy. It just goes to show just how cold it was in the eastern portions of the country over the first 7 days. But as you know, in La Nina winters, it tends to get warmer as the winter progresses. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens. Well, if we look at the pattern over the next few days, so this is tonight. We have a few showers coming through, a little bit of snow in the northeast. And then we take that through, we have really warm weather in the eastern United States. You can just see all this warm air being pumped up from the south. And if we look at the temperature anomalies, look at that. You have temperatures 10 to 30 degrees above average in portions of the Midwest and Northeast and Southeast. And those are some really big temperatures. We could be seeing temperatures in the 70s and 60s in portions of the Southeast. And precipitation, we can see that this system is we have a cold front actually right here, and let me draw that out for you real quick. So you have a cold front like this. This is marching to the east. So as that approaches, you're going to have all that warm air coming in from the southeast, from the Gulf of Mexico. That's going to make things really warm across the area for Thursday and Friday. We're talking potentially record warmth. And if we take this through, this thing comes through, and you have some pretty good snows behind it, because again, keep in mind, after this cold front comes through, you have a big area of cold air coming in. So you have snows on the back side of the system. And as that comes through, this is Saturday. So it looks like the pattern's going to be unsettled, because if you look at this, you have the chance of rain on Friday. Then on Saturday, you have the cold front approaching, so you have a chance of rain on that day too. And then things should finally clear out by Sunday. And so this is interesting. Look at this huge area of really heavy snowfall on the back side of this cold front. And if you look at the GFS model, it's been showing this now for the past couple of days, where you have this low pressure system form right here, and then it rides along this cold front, and it seems as if this cold front is going to stall somewhere. So it's going to stall right around here, and then this low pressure system right here rides up this stalled cold front, producing really heavy snow for the Great Lakes area and western Pennsylvania, western New York, northeastern Ohio, and we could be talking potentially very heavy snow. We're talking a foot, maybe 2 feet, but that's really far away. You're a week out. Forecasts this far out are very inaccurate, but it's a good sign that these models are indicating with relative confidence that this area has a good chance of seeing some really unsettled weather potentially for Friday into Saturday. And if we take this through, you can see that this cold front, it kind of stalls, and then this system rides up, and you can see that this area is going to see some pretty heavy snows. If this thing was to play out, this entire area right here would be looking at some really heavy snows. But again, we're very far out, so And as you know, models tend to be extremely inaccurate when it comes to these types of systems, especially when it comes in the winter when you're predicting the track of storms. You can't really get an accurate forecast until you're about 2 days out. So again, these models tend to be very inaccurate, but it's interesting to look at, and it's definitely something I'll be looking at. And right now, I think there are a couple scenarios for this system, and I think the chance for the East Coast to see another snowstorm is there from January 14th to through January 19th. If we look at this, you can see we have a trough of the eastern United States. So anytime you have a trough, you have that jet stream going down like this and up, and you can get a storm system forming, and then can ride up the coast. So I'm not going to say that the pattern is favorable for storm system development. I'm just saying, if we were to see a snowstorm, our best chance would be from January 14th through January 19th, because you have a trough in place, and it stays in place for a few days actually. So that would be the time period where if something was to develop, it would. It's the best chance I think we have this month of really seeing anything, because after that, if we take this through, we basically have, and I think correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I think it's a zonal flow, or I forget the name for it, a zonal flow where you have the jet stream going basically from west to east without any ridges or troughs, and then that takes us through. And then after that, I think we might see a brief shot of cold air. So the pattern is basically periods, a few days of warmth, a few days of cold, so basically an up and down pattern. So I'm going to take back my statement about January 13th and through 19th being the best chance for snow. I'm just saying that during that time we have the potential, a very small potential, but we have some potential for a storm system to form and right up the East Coast, because you have that trough, and with that trough, it goes down, intensifies, and rides up the coast. So that's a possibility. And let me look at some of the possible scenarios that we could see with this system. Again, this is Friday, so not too far off. So you have a cold front right here, and so right now it's looking like it's going to stall right here. This is just based off right now. Again, we're really far away, so things will definitely change. So it's going to stall right here, and then the system will ride up this stalled cold front, producing very heavy snows for this area right here. But there are a couple other scenarios. If this cold front stalls, let's say right here, and then you get the system to ride up this cold front right here, then you would be seeing really heavy snows along I-95. Or this cold front could stall right here, and this low pressure system rides up the stalled cold front right here, producing very heavy snows in this area. So those are the three possibilities. Right now the models are saying that this cold front is going to stall somewhere right here, making the low pressure system basically track somewhere along here, producing some pretty good snows and a pretty decent snowstorm the way it looks right now for these areas. But another tendency that I want to point out is that when you're far out, the models tend to basically overhype storms by a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. I mean, if you look at an example, we had the potential snowstorm for, I think it was the 29th, but we had the potential for a really massive snowstorm. And let me just show you real quick if I can find it. Let me go back. Let me see if it was this run. So let me go a little bit further back. Give me 1 second right here. That's too far. Go a little further back. And so the GFS model was showing the potential for a blockbuster snowstorm for the Northeast. Let me go even further back, and let me just get that ideal run that it was showing. Can't find it. Let's see. Try one more time. Okay, and this one it wasn't showing it. Let's see. Okay, so can't find it right now. But basically what it was showing was a really strong storm system, and that would produce, we're talking snowfall in the rate of a foot, maybe even 2 feet in these areas right here. Basically a huge snowstorm, equaling the snowstorm we had in 2016. That was on January 22nd and 23rd. Sorry for that interruption, that's my phone ringing. But it was saying that we would see a huge snowfall for the eastern United States, and as we got closer, it turned into absolutely nothing. We saw nothing in the storm didn't even develop. So that shows that models really tend to overhype systems, and that's something that I'll also be watching. And so if we go back to this current run, the GFS shows this system right here, but it could underwhelm the system and make it much less than it actually is as we head closer. So that's also something that we're going to be watching. But look how heavy this snowfall is. So if this thing does form, it really does have the potential to be a big system. And after that, you have that trough and the pattern looking favorable, and then the GFS tries to form something, and then that breaks apart, and then you basically have an active storm pattern. So basically an active pattern. So I think over the next 15 days or so until January 25th, the pattern will be very active. We're going to have many cold days, many warm days, the potential for many storms, and basically a very active pattern over the next couple of weeks. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.